Okay, we're live.
We're now going to call the regular meeting to order. The correct time is 7 o'clock. Requirements of the Sunshine Law has been met. This meeting was advertised in the Burlington County Times on January 6, 2023. An electronic notice was given pursuant to NJAC 5:39-1.5. We will now start with the Pledge of Allegiance. We will now have a moment of silence. Roll call.
Committeewoman Berkeley.
Present.
Committeeman Carr.
Present.
Committeewoman Mungo. Present. Mayor Henley.
Present.
Committeewoman Bright. Present.
Presentation, Civilian Service Award presented by the West Hampton Township Police Department to David Godbolt.
Thank you, I appreciate it. One of the good things about my job is having the opportunity to promote within some of our police officers and the hiring of police officers, but a lot of times some of our job too is when we get a chance to recognize people in our neighbors or our neighborhood that perform some good acts. So I'm going to ask for David Godbolt to come on up. And all right, so I'm just going to give a quick synopsis of why David's here tonight. Okay, the West Hampton Township Police would like to recognize a young man this evening for his swift decision-making skills and actions during a crisis situation that occurred in April of this year. On Saturday, April 29 in the afternoon hours, the police department was dispatched to a call for a reported subject in possession of a kitchen knife threatening self-harm. The caller was 17-year-old David Godbolt, who's here tonight. David recognized that the person he was dealing with was suffering from a psychiatric emergency. The situation began to escalate and David remained very calm. He contacted 911 and provided an emergency dispatcher with the necessary information for the responding officers to go to the call. David also made sure that this time he kept two young children safe while remaining on the phone with the dispatcher, providing updates that were critical, for the deteriorating situation. Finally, upon officers' arrivals, David carefully directed the officers to the person that was in crisis who was safely disarmed and brought to the local hospital for treatment. David is being recognized this evening for his quick actions, keeping himself and his children and young women in crisis safe, while assisting law enforcement to quickly and safely resolve the crisis incident. Tonight, David is awarded with the West Hampton Township Police Department Civilian Service Award. Congratulations.
Now the approval of minutes, May 16, 2023, the regular meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Berkeley.
No.
Carr.
Yes.
Mungo.
Yes.
Bright.
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 410.
Monthly reports. We have a construction, police, fire, EMS, public works, tax collector, and court. We will now open the meeting for public comment on agenda items only. Please remember to state your name and address for the record. Reminder, this is a comment only. If it is not intended as a question and answer period. If you would like a response, please leave your contact information by the podium so we can respond appropriately.
Guess I'll go first.
What's up, Gary?
I'm missing a Phillies game to be here.
We appreciate it.
I appreciate what you guys do. That's why I'm here. Gary Barbarian, 138 Winstead. So on the agenda, a few items. First question I have is, I had a question about the bill list, but where do I raise that comment? Now or at the public comment period? Huh? No? Oh, all right. I'll wait till the end. Okay. On the first item on the agenda, the monthly reports, I had a comment about the police report. The police report noted there's a reason I'm asking this, and I'll explain a little bit. The police report noted there were 4 overdoses reported in the month of May. 2 were for West Hampton Township, 2 were for other townships. And then in the fire EMS report, that report also noted, well, I'm sorry, I have that backwards. The fire report noted 4 overdoses, 2 in West Hampton, 2 in Mount Holly. The police report noted 2 overdoses. So I'm just wondering, is the police report tracking the fire report? So that's a completely separate sort of reporting. So it's okay, even though
It's the same, but it depends on if both services respond. So each service is reporting on its own reports.
Oh.
They could be, they could be the same, but they are their own separate reports.
Okay, there's a reason why I'm asking, and I can get to that into the public comment period. My next item on the agenda was for the Public Works report. I had a sort of an observation, I guess, or a comment about that. Let me see if I have my card. So the Public Works report's talking about GovPilot. I think I'd asked about this before. Did you guys get a chance to look at the app as it's going to be deployed? Have you had a chance to kind of get sort of a first-hand look at it?
Not ready yet.
Okay. The director mentioned that he's going to publish some tutorials on social media. What social media is it? Do we have social media? I don't even know. I'm not a social media.
And a website.
What is it?
Facebook and a website.
Okay. So my ask would be, maybe you can talk to him about this. I get it. I understand people like social media, et cetera, but I'm hoping that maybe it might not be a bad idea to post a step-by-step user sort of a crib card on it. And I would just sort of suggest, everybody knows Og the Caveman, pretty simple, right? Stick figures, I'm thinking in that style, for that kind of level of crib card for that. Also, in that report, he talks about, and this is mentioned multiple times, is the lid replacement for the recyclable bins. I get it. The issue or the question I would have is, do we have any like flyers that we can come and pick up here in the clerk's office and kind of like maybe just drop them off on some of our neighbors that are not taking the effort to replace their lid? I mean, it's a health hazard, right, honestly, because animals are getting in there, and maybe they don't know about it, they're not reading the notices, et cetera. So maybe if we can print 50 or 60 of lid replacement available, cost-free, or et cetera, whatever it is, Good Samaritans can go out there and just drop them off or tape them to the top of the recycle. That's just a suggestion I have about that. I noticed that in the report. Moving on to the ordinances, 10 A, B, and C. A, this is 6-2023. My comment there was, I think, and Wendy, you might have a better memory about this than I do. I think I had asked about this the last time, that there's a difference in the salaries for the prosecutor and the municipal public defender. I just think I just want them to be the same, personally, so that would mean sort of raising the salary of the public defender. And I think you had an explanation. I can't remember what that was.
Amendment RFP, so they tell us what they want to be paid.
Okay.
We don't control that.
Okay.
It's just in the salary ordinance because it's amendment payment to somebody that's being paid through the township.
Okay, so it could be more than that amount, technically?
It's whatever when we are paid at the beginning of before the beginning of the next year, they respond with what they're going to charge us for that year.
Okay,
It's like a bid.
Yeah,
okay.
it's a bid.
So they just bid themselves on what it is?
I just hope that they bid to the level of the prosecutor, that's all I'm saying, you know what I mean? And then on 7/2023, the only thing I have a comment on about that is, if I read this right, the FTO is going to be paid $3 an hour for their time? So this is really maybe a Steve question. I don't know, it just seems kind of like, how did we come up with $3 an hour? That's a pretty important job, and that should be an honor, and that, you know, the ranks want to do that work. I'm thinking, can we do better? That's my comment. I mean, they get the training at the academy, and then they get that experiential training, and they really need, you know, a committed FTO, and they're only getting $3 an hour. I'm guessing that's on top of their regular duty salary, but seems kind of low, though, for that extra.
Is that not contractual?
So it's contractual. In the past, it was nothing, and then it went to a different amount, and now we did it hourly. Because sometimes officers work 12 hours, sometimes we only work maybe 8. So rather than, that's why we did it hourly.
Okay.
So I know it might not make too much sense.
It doesn't, to me, it doesn't, I mean, especially when you look at 8-2, the next one, it actually pays the supervisors $2 an hour, or $2.50 an hour. So they actually get paid less.
I'm not sure, is that correct? I'm not sure.
Yes, it's contractual, it's whatever was negotiated.
$2.50. And then I also noticed that the detectives, detective sergeants get a $3,000 bonus, but if you're an ordinary detective, you get a $4,000 bonus.
But that's all contractual, right? That's a contract that they agreed back.
I know, it just seems oddball to me,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, well, no, I'll deny myself the promotion so I can get more money at the end of the year. No? Okay, all right, I'm just making a public comment, that's all I'm saying. I know our guys work hard, that's all. On 12, the consent agendas, A, 86-23, I think this is going to be a good thing. The Millennium, the grant writers, right? So I'm hoping you guys are definitely going to vote in favor of this. Let's give it a try, right? What do we have to lose? So I would encourage you to move forward with that. And just to sort of telegraph my public comment, I actually raised this outfit, Millennium Strategies, at the Burlington County Commissioners meeting that I attended. And I discussed a little bit with them about that, about that service. Moving to 105-23, letter T. I have no overall objection to this or any major obstacle or concern. My question was on the agreement itself. And there was 2 paragraphs. Paragraph 15 had an oddball date. It mentioned May of 2022 as the start of the contract. I just want to make sure that's not a typo or anything.
Came from that.
Just double check it, make sure it's legit. And then paragraph 14 talked about the regeneration agreement. I don't know, 7% seems kind of high to me. The reason I'm bringing that up is the reason I asked about the bill list, because in the bill list, there's a line item for PSC&G charge, which was $12,000 for the month of May. Do you remember that? I think it's on page 7. Page 7. $12,655.19. And I'm just wondering, you know, with the intention to move forward with that co-op purchasing agreement and that regen that we're going to essentially be bound to, I don't want to spend nickels to save a penny. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Did we do the math on this? Do we have an ROI?
So before you ask any further questions, I just want to clarify to the committee and the audience that the only reason that we're joining this co-op is so that we can purchase the zero-turn mower. The only reason we're joining the co-op is so we can purchase the zero-turn mower. We can't purchase it through the co-op without joining the co-op.
Okay.
We're not using the co-op for any other services.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Asterisk would have been helpful in there. Okay, just asking. And then, the other item was letter X, the police SUV Interceptor. And I'm only bringing this up because I thought this was kind of weird. And it has really kind of nothing to do as far as I know. But, you know, Bob, maybe you know about this. Steve, I'm not sure. But in Westchester, Ohio, police department had an SUV, this Interceptor. Officer uses it for a 12-hour shift, returns it, and this vehicle exploded and caught fire and burned up. Township puts in a claim pursuing a lemon law. Ford declined it, and they're fighting it right now. There's a lawsuit against the township. So I don't know if you heard about this. They're saying that it's actually not a vehicle under Ohio lemon law. Now, I don't know if it's how police vehicles are classified under New Jersey lemon law purposes, but I would just urge us to just double check to make sure that if there's something that goes wrong, and these Ford Interceptors kind of have a little bit of a wonky history, that if something goes wrong with it, we can invoke lemon law and return it, right? Or try to, we can invoke the lemon law. That's all I'm saying, right? I don't want anything to happen to our guys out there on that. And then let me see if I had anything else. And then just some items for public comment. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Anyone else? So do we have a motion to close public comment? Okay. Okay. So we're going to close public comment. All in favor? Yep.
My name is Robert Fernholtz. I live at 19 Fieldcrest Drive in Spring Meadows. So there's an ordinance back there for the fencing, that it should be board on board. And I was wondering what the process would be.
So this is for agenda item only.
Okay, sorry. For the end?
Yep.
Okay, great. Sorry, I wasn't sure. Thank you.
No worries. So we're going to close public comment. All in favor?
Aye.
Ordinances, second reading, public hearing, 6-2023, an ordinance of the West Hampton Township, the Township of West Hampton to fix the salaries, wages, and compensation of certain officers and employees of the Township of West Hampton for the years 2023 to 2025. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion for the ordinance 623 to fix the salary, wages, and compensation for 23 to 25.
Second.
Open to the public hearing? With no one, roll call?
Berkeley,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Mungo. Yes. Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
7-2023, an ordinance of the Township of West Hampton to fix the salaries, wages, and compensation of certain police officers of the Township of West Hampton for the years 2022 to 2025. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Berkeley,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Mungo. Yes. Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
8-2023, an ordinance of the Township of West Hampton to fix the salaries, wages, and compensation for the police supervisors of the Township of West Hampton for the years 2021 to 2024. Do we have a motion?
So moved, Berkeley?
Second.
Roll call?
Berkeley,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Mungo. Yes. Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Resolutions, 85-23, payment of vouchers. This resolution approves the payment of bills through 6-20-2023. Do we have a motion?
Second.
First by Jamie Mungo, Deputy Mayor Mungo, and second by Committeeman Carr. Roll call, discussion, I'm sorry. With no discussion, roll call?
Berkeley,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Mungo. Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted with one single motion. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any items requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
I'd like to remove S for discussion. I also have a question. Are you, for what Wendy just gave an explanation, are T and U then together? Is U what you're talking about that we need to hire from T?
Yes.
Okay. So, but they are two separate things, correct?
Yes, one is a resolution to approve the membership to the co-op, and the second is the resolution to approve the purchase.
Okay. I had hoped that I could have learned that ahead of time. It would have saved me a lot of thinking and writing it, because now it answers my question. Thank you. But I want to pull S, please.
Yep. So,
Mr. Mayor.
We have the, what happens there?
A through R and T through Z.
Do we have a motion for A through R, and T through Z?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for the consent agenda, items A through R Romeo, and items T through Z Zulu.
You have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Berkeley.
Yes?
Carr.
Yes.
Longo. Yes. Bright.
Yes.
Mayor Henry.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Discussion on S?
Do you want to have a motion or a discussion first?
We already motioned.
Okay. On the carpet, I was confused on the 6 whereas. It says the subject state contract was awarded to all state interiors to provide materials and labels to replace the flooring on the second floor. Are we talking about what they did last year or what they're going to do this year? And should it say first floor? Because nowhere in this, resolution does it say that they would be working on the first floor. The voucher does, but not the resolution. Is that just a typo? It's the 6th whereas.
Yes, I'm reading the entire.
Okay, thank you.
So this resolution should be the first floor. The second floor was done by the same company. So I can change the resolution to add that this is for the first floor carpeting of the building.
Do we even need to put that they're the same as last year?
I'm sorry?
Do we even need to put that these were the people that were last year?
It doesn't matter.
Like, I just think that somewhere it should say that it's this year for this first floor. Thank you. As amended, then.
So we can approve it as amended, correct? Roll call?
Berkeley.
No?
Carr.
Yes.
Longo. Yes. Bright.
Yes.
Mayor Henry.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0-1.
We will now open the meeting for public comment. Please remember to state your name and address for the record. Reminder, this is for comment only. It is not intended as a question and answer period. If you would like a response, please leave your contact information at the podium so we can respond appropriately.
Sorry about earlier.
No worries.
So my name is Robert Fernholtz. I live at 19 Fieldcrest Drive in Spring Meadows. So there's an ordinance for the fencing back there that it's board on board. And I was wondering what could be done to change the ordinance to request vinyl fencing back there? What the process would be, or if that's even possible?
So we can comment. We don't comment. We'll comment after it's over.
Okay.
Not after it's over, but when we make our liaison reports and comments near the end. So if that's the question, we'll answer it
Okay.
after, promise.
Leave contact information.
Yep, right there. Okay, great, thank you.
Do you have any other questions besides that, sir, or no? I don't want to rush you off.
That was the only one.
All right, thank you. Come on over.
Gary Bear, 138 Winstead. So for public comment, first, I want to give a shout out, Steve, to one of your officers, Chris Morato. I saw him on Thursday in Rolling Hills East. He was escorting a phone tech. He was working on his day off. You know, everybody deserves a day off. So to his credit, he was on duty. And I really appreciate that. I told him, I said, we're grateful for his service. So hopefully he had a nice day off on Monday. I think he told me he was moving it up, but we thank him for working on his day off. The second was, so I had a question about the bill list, kind of an oddball question, but on page 3 of the bill list, there's an expenditure for a helmet repair. It's only $100. I'm not quibbling over the amount of money, but it looks like it's for fire or EMS. Some sort of a helmet was damaged, and we sent it for repair. I'm just wondering if it's wiser to just replace these things, because usually when they get damaged, it's really risky to sort of use an aftermarket repair on these kind of things. I mean, what's our philosophy on that? I'd rather just spend the money and get a brand new piece of equipment for the guys that are out there responding. So I get it. You know, to their credit, they want to try to save a little bit of money, but I think for your purposes, where you stand in your role, you should maybe say, hey, let's just replace it. That's just what I'm saying. You know what I mean? it's their lives at stake, right? So we want to do what we can to protect them. And then, the reason I've kind of brought up the overdoses, I went to the Burlington County Commissioners meeting. I'll just give you a little bit of a readout on that. So the county signed an agreement. Bob, you may know about this. I just don't. Apparently, the opioid settlement money is starting to flow, I guess. This is as near as I can tell. And the county has received some funds from that, and they're dispersing it. Now, what was interesting to me was that they approved a couple of resolutions dispersing some Naloxone kits to high schools in the county. They didn't tell me how many, they didn't tell me where, et cetera. So my comment or question to the county was, well, is that enough? Because it was only around an $11,000 appropriation. So I was kind of curious, how did they come up with that, and is that going to be sufficient? And the answer I kind of got back was, well, each school is sort of mandated to have a kit, and so they sort of have this, you know, on the school grounds. But because some schools know to ask for extra kits, the county will fulfill that request and, I guess, supply that school with the kit. But here was the rub. You have to ask for it. So I don't know, like, if they publicize it. I'm just letting you know that I guess if our schools need it for whatever reason, I guess we're going to have to ask for it. I didn't have enough time. You only get 4 minutes at those meetings, right? So I couldn't even ask to see if Fire EMS is going to be on the schedule for receiving extra kits. Because when I look at the reports and I see that we've got, you know, on average 2 to 4 overdoses per month, we may be running out of these things. I have no idea. So I think it would be helpful if you, committee, can sort of caucus with the county and find out what the agreement is and do they have a plan for the disbursement of the opioid settlement money. They also passed a resolution to have a one-day camp for kids that are dealing with the trauma of opioid addiction in the family. But apparently there's a cutoff. They only accept a certain number of kids. So if you don't make that cutoff, you don't go to the camp. I just asked if they could do better, and they said, well, you know, it's a balance of the equities with the money that we're coming in, et cetera. They may run more of these kinds of camps. I'm just saying, we maybe need to have a voice here. I just don't know. And I'm one person that goes there, and I'm a total nobody when I show up. I think it's time for maybe one of you to kind of step up and see if you can do something there. That's just a suggestion I have on that. And then they also had a little presentation for National Trails Day, and I thought this was interesting because Commissioner Eckel said that they want to do more with resourcing for trails in the county, and so they're seeking additional funding, and that's when I brought up the group Millennium that presented to us. And I said that apparently they contract with other municipalities and even with the county itself. I said, but the issue was, according to what they said, if I understood it correctly, there's sometimes not a direct coordination between county and township, et cetera. So I said, if we're going to all pursue this, it might make sense to have sort of a clearinghouse to find out who's pursuing what project in adjoining or neighboring townships, especially when it comes to trails and things like that. So, again, I sort of raised that, but it's something I think that you as a body should try to, you know, formally sort of suggest or encourage at that point. So, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Hey, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is Kevin Lee. I live at 873 Rancocas Road. Had a couple issues recently that I would like to address, get some questions answered. I will leave whatever contact information. I live right at Rancocas and Lambert. We have the basketball courts next to us, which is the backside of Holly Hill School. Apparently, those basketball courts are not part of the school. They're part of the rec department, from what I've been told back and forth. But there have been some recreational events being held there. Apparently, they were permitted. I'm not sure everything that went on. I didn't get all the information. There's been large numbers of people showing up at these events. They set up at 8 o'clock in the morning. By 10 o'clock in the morning, they have the music so loud that the dishes in my kitchen are moving across the counter. The profanity, not only in the music, but the profanity from the DJ that they had repeatedly from 10 o'clock in the morning till 8:30 at night, constantly. I have a roommate who has a disability. She doesn't get out much. felt like a prisoner in her own home. We called the police department a number of times. I know that they were short-staffed. It was Memorial Day weekend. It was the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend at this event. It's happened before. They've had large numbers of people. There was over 600 people at this event.
Wow.
No restrooms provided. People were walking up into some of the neighbors' yards and urinating in the neighbors' yards. At one point, there's a group of individuals, and I know the police department has observed these individuals on the ATVs and the motorcycles, the unregistered illegal bikes. And I don't know if it's a township or it's a state rule, but I know that there's a no chase law because it could endanger other individuals. At what point, because these quads had been there tearing up the grass, doing wheelies, a lot of noise, at one point they actually had been parked. And I contacted the police department and the officer that came out. The other officers were occupied with the DWI stop. I know that he was by himself, a large crowd. It would not have been safe for him to go over and address the problem. But at what point, when these vehicles are stopped, can somebody say, hey, I see where they're at, can you come and just put hands on, and then call for a tow truck, call for impound, call for, these kids run up and down Rancocas Road, wheelies, cutting through traffic. I know, I drive a tow truck locally. We do some of the municipal towing. I've spoken with some of the officers. I know that these kids on these bikes ride by flipping the officers off, go through intersections, and the officers, their hands are tied. We're tying law enforcement's hands and saying, yeah, they're breaking the law and it's unsafe, but it's unsafe for you to chase and apprehend. I get that. But when they're parked and they're cited, what can we do to get these bikes, these quads, these motorcycles off the road? What can we do for the basketball courts to put out a sign? Maybe the motorcycles show up. The people pull up in their cars, drive across the grass, show up at they pull right up to the courts. Can we put a fence up around that court? Can we put up some signage saying municipal law 166-1? The annoyance, about the noise, the annoyance of that. Can we put up signs that say, hey, no loud music, come out, enjoy, play ball, get some exercise, enjoy the sunshine. All that stuff is great. The loud music, where things in my house are actually moving from the music. I also own property across the street. I was out that day on the Rancocas Creek in my kayak, and I could hear the DJ screaming and yelling and the profanity and the music. And I'm like, and I knew she was in the house. And I was like, this is insane. This is, for me to hear it all the way out on the creek, and some other neighbors had some words about it. Can we put some type of maybe, again, signage out there to restrict some of the events that go on out there? Recreation, do it. Be healthy, all that. But noise, I live there. I shouldn't have to leave my house for peace and quiet. I want to have a little bit of enjoyable time. It was a holiday weekend. I actually had to work Memorial Day. I had to work that day. Sunday was my day off of relaxation and quiet. I didn't get it. I spent a number of years in the military. I do have a touch of PTSD. I take care of that. I talk to people. I have things. But when I'm in my house and I'm hearing and I'm feeling restricted and I'm feeling like, I can't even walk over there and say something because the numbers of people that are over there. And I've already heard the DJ saying, all right, guys, let's stop fighting. Let's stop fighting. There's altercations already going on over there. And it built and it built and it built. And again, I know the police we don't support our police departments as much as communities really should. I know it's a lot in the news about different things, but I know we're understaffed. I know it gets difficult sometimes. I don't know if there's something like that going on where Willingboro or Mount Holly or East Hampton can be called in, hey, you got a couple people come over and do a little backup. The quads are sitting here. I pointed it out to the one officer. He goes, I know, but I can't go there by myself. It's something like that. Can we call in other municipalities and say, hey, just show up and walk over, lay hands on the bike and say, okay, call in for impound. I know you're not allowed to chase it. I know you can't run down the road at 80 miles an hour trying to catch these kids, because on these dirt bikes, they're just going to disappear. They're going to take a dirt trail through somebody's yard, maybe run over somebody's kid or, whatever. I understand that that's not an option. But when they're parked, and again, with the noise ordinance, can we do something about maybe holding the noise down? Can we put restrooms out there? Can we put porta-johns out there so these kids aren't walking up into my yard, the neighbor's yard, the next neighbor's yard, and urinating in somebody's yard, especially the people next to us? They have a little kid. He goes out there and he plays in their yard all the time. Well, now he's out there playing where people have been peeing all over the grass. I know you don't want your kids out there having to deal with that. You wouldn't want that in your backyard. You wouldn't want people just walking up in your yard because there's no porta-johns, no restrooms, We constantly pick up the trash. We pick up the beer cans, the food wrappers, the water bottles, the little baggies from them smoking their pot over there. It all goes on. And we end up going over and picking it up. I got the grippers. I go over there with the trash bag and pick stuff up because it blows in my yard anyway. So we're picking up all that stuff. The amount of weed at these events, the smell of the weed and the alcohol that these people are sitting. The people that come and watch the basketball, I've sitting there and watched, popping cans and drinking and watching the kids play ball. Should that be allowed on the rec grounds property, the alcohol? I don't think that, and that's why I said in the beginning, I was told it's recreational township, it's not part of the school. If it's part of the school and they're smoking weed and drinking beer out there.
If I could just address that aspect of it. The mayor asked us to have a telephone conference with the superintendent of schools last Friday regarding this issue, and started to work together with the schools on some solutions to deal with this. It is actually school property. It's not the township property.
Okay.
So the township can't regulate it through the rec department.
Okay.
But the schools, to my understanding, are looking into posting signs and working to enforce their existing facility usage policies.
Okay.
And we're going to be, at the mayor's direction, we'll be working with the schools to post signs at the property and work with the police to enforce those, the school's policies on that, as well as any municipal disorderly persons, issues that are going on there.
Then I was misinformed because when the courts were resurfaced and the new nets were put up, we were told that was part of the rec department. So obviously we were misinformed by the people that would go in that.
There was some confusion when this, somebody brought it, it might have been you, brought it to the township administrator's attention and the director of rec's attention. We looked into it just to clarify that it is school property, so that the school has to take care of putting the regulations in place, which they do have some facility usage regulations. They're looking at whether they need to update those or not. And like I said, we're going to be working with the townships, be working with the schools in trying to prevent.
And we will enforce it, like the call was just Friday.
Yep.
A lot of the things, so they, just to answer a little bit of it, a lot of the things that we were looking to do as a township, so the recreation will help if someone wants to use something, even of the schools. They'll tend to communicate with the schools to help. Recreation really didn't have a lot involved, but we did hear about the situation. So the next week, the basketball, there's some people out there playing basketball. Todd, who is the director of recreation, reached out to me. I drove up there and I asked who was in charge. They pointed out who was in charge. I pulled the gentleman over. I said, listen, these are my expectations as the mayor of the town. One, you keep the music music is okay right now, but keep it down. Secondly, there's where are your people going to the bathroom at? And he said, well, I'm just giving you verbatim what the conversation was. He's like, well, the females, they go and they leave. He's like, the guys, I don't know where they go. He's like, but, and he said to me, he's like, that's, not my responsibility. I said, it is your responsibility. I said, my expectations are that they use the bathroom somewhere else. I said, even though this is school grounds, I can guarantee you won't be allowed here again. So these are my expectations, what are going to happen. I said, if you're going to use it, don't use the microphone, keep it loud. You have people over there who are living who are in their backyard enjoying the day. Like, you can't do that. And then once we had that conversation, he seemed to be okay. Now, I did go, there were some neighbors outside. I drove around, I spoke to those neighbors. I explained to them what I said to the gentleman. I was like, if you see anything different, there was no one else outside. I would address them as well. If you see anything different, make sure you call the police, or you can contact me and I'll come back and I'll bring the police, whatever we need to do. And lastly, I then went back and I talked to our recreation director, and we both agreed that there should be no one profiting off of the basketball court, right? There should be no leagues playing. What the basketball court is for, the kids at the school don't really use it as much, but it's for, like, the neighboring kids to play. If kids want to come play, they can play, but when you have a league there, then your kids can't play, right? So it's not really for that, and we kind of agreed with that sentiment, and we wanted to make sure that something was in place to not enable that, because that's not what it's there for, right? And that's kind of where we're at right now. So and we did talk about putting a porta potty out there as well, not for a league, but for the kids who play, right? Now, I played basketball a lot when I was a kid. I don't remember how I went to the bathroom. I'm assuming that I had a longer hold.
If you were playing hard enough, you were sweating it out. So
that may be the point.
Again,
that may be the point.
It's not the kids playing that are your
right.
It's the spectators that are drinking the beer.
Right.
And once you pop that cork.
Well, maybe I know, maybe I don't. But what I would say is that, more importantly, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Like, I heard what happened that previous Sunday. So when Ty reached out to me and said that there were people up there playing again, he was tied up. I wanted to be able to shoot down there and have a conversation. So, and then that's when I was able to reach out to say, listen, let's get Jim on the phone. Let's kind of figure out what we're going to do. Because Todd was actually, to his credit, Todd, to his credit, was making up his own rules. Okay. But it's the school grounds. We want to make sure we involve the school.
I appreciate that. And again, like you said, those grounds are for our local township, the kids of this township. Those leagues are coming in from other areas.
I agree.
They're not.
To be clear,
not our neighbors.
Right. To be clear, I think anybody can play recreational basketball.
Yeah.
Right? Because when I played basketball, anybody came up to play all over. But you just don't want leagues dominating the basketball court so that you don't have that.
People stand.
Correct.
The local kids show up and
they got nowhere to play.
We can't play today because there's a league from Philly.
Right. That's not what it's there for. I agree with you. That's not what it's there for. Right. And we will make amends and we'll fix it.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. I will leave wherever I need to leave information for rebuttals. And if any of the council ever would like to go out and go kayaking and enjoy the Rancocas Creek in our backyard, you can contact me on that information too, because we have a gem right here that I love to spend time
That's
on.
what I heard.
And I think a lot more of the township should realize that it's out there and it's here for our use. So, again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
I will.
You have anyone else? That being said, close for public comment. All in favor?
Aye.
Dates to remember. Next Township Committee meeting will be on July 11th at 7 p.m. Historic Commission will be on June 28th at 7 p.m. Land Development Board will be on July the 7th at 7 p.m. Recreation Committee meeting will be on July the 12th at 7 p.m. And Youth Police Academy, June 26th through the 30th. And National Night Out is August the 1st. Administrator's report?
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Land Development Board is on the 5th of July.
Yeah, it's a typo.
The 7th is a Friday.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
I have a few things that I
Sure.
just wanted to bring up from the last meeting that we had. There were some questions about, first, our court report, and then secondly, our construction report. So I met with the two department heads to discuss some of these concerns. And the court report had a discrepancy on one of the columns for the revenue that was taken in for West Hampton Township. And it was correct to assume that the number had been updated after I had received the report, so that the subsequent report thereafter had a higher number than the month prior. So it was just a matter of back billing and applying a revenue that was applied after the fact of us getting that report. Secondly, the construction report. This report is very confusing to read, and I had to go to our construction official and ask him to teach me how to read this report. And you would think that you're reading a standard straight down the columns of this report, but unfortunately it's in sections and doesn't say anything to that effect. So the top portion that shows the construction costs, and some of you are going to read that left to right. And then underneath that, you're going to see permit fees, admin fees, waived fees, and total fees. You're going to, again, read that left to right. And then you're going to go down on the right-hand side of the report to read the rest of the report. The waived fees are, some of these fees are mandatory from the state. Some of them are because there's school revenue, construction revenue coming through, and others are waived just due to whatever the circumstance is for the job that's being done at that particular site. So it's going to add up, the significant amounts are probably the school construction fees that are being waived, because it's the school that we waive those fees automatically per the state's regulations. So I just wanted to kind of go over that so that you're able to read that report more clearly and understand it. And if you have any questions, you can forward them to me, and I will forward them to the construction official for more input. I also wanted to bring to the attention to the committee that we've been having a lot of calls and problems with our trash company.
No, you're not lying. Good.
Some of the members in the front office have received several phone calls, and it's weekly. We get a plethora of calls for missed services or spilled items or trash being left or all kinds of things, and it adds up, and we keep a spreadsheet. We've escalated these issues to the route manager, the district manager, and the account manager up in Trenton. And per the contract that we signed, there is a section in there called liquidated damages. And it has stipulations for different reasons of why we can withhold funds from the payment of our invoices. And most recently, because of the issues that we have faced with waste management, I have sent a letter advising that we will be withholding about $10,500 from their next invoices because of these liquidated damages. So I just wanted it to go on record that we are handling these problems, and we are holding them accountable for all of the missed service issues that they have in this township.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's all.
Committee liaison.
Cindy, I have a question about that. A while ago, you had talked to us about possibly not re-upping with this company. Did we not have a choice because we go with Mount Holly?
That's part of the reason. So we are in a joint contract with another township, with Mount Holly, because it increases our capacity for trash collection. So the number of houses go up, the price per household goes down.
Right.
Also, this township and Mount Holly do not subscribe to having toter bins that can be picked up by an automatic arm feeder for trash trucks. And this company happens to be one of two that responded to the bid specs that have the ability to have a truck that does not have an arm, where the driver actually gets off the truck and hand loads the garbage into the back of the truck. Not many companies are taking that route any longer. They're going with an automatic feeder, and we are looking into capital options for next year to purchase the toter bins for the residents.
Good, because that feeder was ruining a lot of trash cans. When people are moving into the townhouses on Springside Road, is that going to be held by this trash company too?
No, we handle their own garbage for their contract.
Even though they own the property?
It's not handled through the township.
Okay, thank you.
Committee liaison reports and comments.
West Hampton Middle School had their graduation last Tuesday. I know they're excited because now the construction is going to be ramping up, and apparently they believe that the new classrooms may be finished in mid-December. One of the things Jim and I had talked about was how to get information to non-parents who live in the township, because if this continues and they might have to build on again, any referendum, you certainly want the whole township to be aware of what the school's doing. And I remember, and I told him, I remember previously when we sent out the tax bills, we would have one page for West Hampton to put information on and one page for the township to put information on. And it wouldn't cost that much more because it would be mainly folding the paper and sticking it in everyone's bill if we could do that. So that's something that we might look into. It would be up to you or the committee if they want to look into that, but I think it's a good way of working together with the schools. We are very fortunate in our primary elections because not too many people came out. District 1, as I said before, is the largest amount of registered voters. I think we had 50% of the voters there compared to the whole rest of the 2, 3, 4, 5. And when Horton gets finished, I know that people have already moved in to some of the townhouses. We could have up to 800 to 1,000 more registered voters in District 1. The rec center is very tiny, and I'm concerned because next year is a presidential election. And that's when we get a lot of people out. We're helpful that we can do early voting, helpful we can do mail-in voting, but if we add that much more people, I think we need to go back and look at again of either dividing District 1 into 2 districts or finding a larger place to have the election, because it could get really hectic next year. So that's my request, that we do that. Now, Laurel had a great, fun day. One of the things that came up when they were there is they have a diversity committee in Mount Laurel. And the diversity committee is made up of people, residents of all different backgrounds, and their job is to meet monthly to talk about how to help people, how to improve the diversity, how to improve the services, and get people who are very diverse to work together. And I think that's a great idea. We are definitely made of many different background people, and it's something we could contact Mount Laurel, and we could find out about that. So that would be really good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'd just like to say, I apologize that Mr. Lee had experienced that, and unnamed roommate, that you guys had to experience that in your home. I definitely heard about it. A lot of wheels were turning, trying to address that issue. I myself personally support regulations that would require facilities, porta-johns of that nature, possibly even security or outside employment for police to be there should the event be large enough, especially considering the area in which that particular location is situated, the residential area.
Frankly, residential is better suited to BCIT.
So,
The proper infrastructure for that number of people and the type of event that it was.
yes, ma'am, thank you. And the gentleman from Fieldcrest, I encourage you, please, if you wouldn't mind, just shoot me an email with your concern, but I think off the top of my mind that the ordinance says something to the effect of fences that are wood-like in appearance, I believe. Not board on board, but
I read it as fencing must be wood, board on board type, a natural finish.
understood, okay. Well, it's something that Mr. Solicitor and I could look into, in the committee, obviously, but we appreciate your comments as well. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank the residents also for coming out tonight and, voicing your concerns. They are heard, and I know that we'll get the answers. We are a community together, so obviously we wouldn't want that in our community as well. I also wanted to thank Chief Ent for making that presentation tonight and thanking our good civilians for his responding to that situation. So thank you, David, if you're listening, but I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Well, Jamie said everything I was going to say. But no, thank you, the residents, for coming out. And, you know, David Gogel's family was ecstatic. And it's important to give out those civilian service awards. So kudos to you all as well.
Congratulations to David and his family. Obviously, you don't get to be someone to do heroic things like that without being raised the right way. So to his family for preparing him for those type of situations, I think David, as well as them, thank you for your service. I didn't get a chance to say that when I was answering, when I wasn't supposed to be answering. I was supposed to wait to the end to answer, but, you know, I couldn't wait to jump in. So, but thank you for your service as well. Aside from that, you know, I always appreciate when everyone comes out. Oh, the fence. I don't know, but we have to look. There may be some type of restriction. I live in Spring Meadows, and I think there's some type of restriction or something there where it does say that they don't allow us to have vinyl fences. As far as what we can do, we can look into that. We had an issue in a different development where they installed a vinyl fence and the neighbors had an issue with it. So we want to be careful, obviously, that we don't go crazy with what we're able to do, but that's something that we can look in and be able to address. As far as if you give Wendy a few days, if you wrote down your information, then she'll respond to you, or we'll get our development guy. What's his name?
Right.
Ray. I was going to call him Rich. Ray. Horseshoe. I call him Mr. Horseshoe. So Ray Horseshoe to reach out to you and come up with something, okay? And again, thanks everyone for coming out. We appreciate it. Always our police department, you don't want to miss the fact that they acknowledge the young man and what they were able to do. Our administrator and our solicitor and our deputy clerk as well as the committee. So with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Thank you. Don't forget to sign.